Hi, and welcome back to Point Served. My name is Vondi. I'm the lead pastor at Cross Point Church in Beckley, West Virginia, and we have a podcast that we are hoping to be able to pour into you in a way where you lead, that you will be more effective and be a greater influence in your place of leadership. And here at Crosspoint, we're all about raising up new leaders and trying to help us influence those environments around us. And what we've been talking about last month, we talked about the Charlie Alt effect, and it talked about a man that I grew up with who was a trendsetter, who literally had a tiny house long before tiny houses have become a very big deal. And Charlie was a part of that. And a lot of people didn't fully understand that. Yet, if we're going to be a leader, we have to understand that trend setting will be a part of what we do. And it can be as simple as changing out a particular software that drives certain aspects of our business, or it can be something as great as building something new. But yet, being a trendsetter is something that all leaders have to begin to work with and advance and move forward on. What I want to talk about today is another thing that you will be able to find probably in about 12 months in a book entitled Appalachian Leadership that also works in the big city too. It's a book that I'm in the process of writing, and one of the things that I think we as leaders forget is that people have to be more important to us than paperwork. And I know that there's paperwork. All of us have to do paperwork. There is paperwork that you mind doing, and there's paperwork that you hate doing. And all of the processes that we build in place, and we know that that's needed. But as a leader, you have to make sure that the people work is more important than the paperwork. That the people that we lead, we don't lose them. And in Front Porch Talk, we talk about those relationships. And with that, to be an Appalachian leader, to be someone that leads people, you have to move past the fact that people bother me. My dad, all of my growing up years, was in the education business. And time again, I've heard educators laugh about that, working in the school system is great if it wasn't for the kids. But they forget the kids are the reason that they're there. And in Appalachian leadership, we understand the value of Front Porch Talk. We understand the value of sitting down and really seeing what's going on in people's lives before we jump into the things that we need to do. A lot of times leaders will make statements like, well, if I'd known it'd taken this much time, I would have done it myself. Well, here's the thing. To be a leader, it's always going to take time. You have to figure out where you're investing that time. And if you're investing the time in training folks and teaching folks and leading folks to be able to do things when you're not even around, then that's time well spent. And so when we recognize just how valuable people are, that they're not a hindrance to getting your work done, that they are the most important part of what you're doing, it totally changes our perspective. It changes the way that we are moving and the way that we're looking and the way that we want to accomplish those things around us. Because if we're not careful, if we miss talking with people, then we become very out of touch with the network around us. We become very out of touch with what's happening around us, and what's going on in the lives of people affect your network, and they will also affect your net worth. And so as you and I are leading, whatever space it is, out in the marketplace, you need to understand what's happening in the lives of people. And what I've discovered is that when we do that, amazing things happen. Let me give you an example of that. I was in a business here in the city of Beckley a week or so ago, and I watched a friend of mine who is a sole proprietor of a business. There was a fellow who came in who needed some help, and I watched them take the time to hear what was going on in his life, and then they helped him. And it wasn't with what they were selling or anything like that. They just helped him. And this particular individual will probably never be able to pay them back for what they did. Yet they took the time when they could have been doing other things, but they took the time to care for him. What were they doing? They were making sure that they weren't out of touch with the network that was around them. You can say, well, Vonda, he wasn't even in their workplace. He wasn't a part of their network. No, but they understood taking the time to see what was happening in his life, how valuable that was to him. And you never know who's watching. You never know when you take the time what people are seeing and that they're looking at. Saw a leadership meme the other day that Henry Ford had 2 men that he was going to hire for a high administrative position. And he took both of them out for lunch. And they didn't talk about the business. They didn't talk about hardly anything. But at the end of the meal, Mr. Ford thanked both of those men for being a part of it, looked at one and said, my assistant will be getting in touch with you to sign the papers so you can start to work. And to the other person, he said, I appreciate your time. Thank you, but the position has been filled. And as they were walking out of that place, the fellow who didn't get the job asked Mr. Ford, he said, can you tell me what I did wrong? And Henry said, your etiquette was perfect. Your table manners were fine. Your knowledge of my business and what you could bring into my business, impeccable. But I watched how you treated the wait staff. I watched how you treated the people who came around you, and they were an annoyance to you. The only person you paid attention to and listened to was me, because you wanted something out of me. He said the other person was kind, thanked the wait staff for what they did, appreciated them, listened to what they said. That's why they got the job. Henry Ford understood Front Porch Talk. He understood looking at the lives of people and listening. We talked a number of months ago about the value of that in servant leadership. I can tell you, learning to listen and being a person who hears what's being said is essential, because all of us get impatient. All of us get to the place where just get to the point. Let me see what's this or that. All of us, and at times that may be necessary, but most of the time listening will get you there if you'll take just a few minutes to do that. One of the things about Front Porch Talk, it teaches us something. It teaches us that being alone and being aloof will also get you to the place to where you become obsolete with those around you. So when people come along beside of you, sit down in a rocking chair, metaphorically speaking, and have some front porch talk. It'll amaze you what you'll learn. It'll amaze you the lives you'll impact. I know you won't get all the paperwork done maybe when you wanted to get it done, but you'll gain something so much greater when you allow yourself Front Porch Talk. Thank you so much for being a part of Point Serve today. We pray that as you are listening to these things, that it will impact where you are. And it will help you, whether you are in a sacred space of leadership or in a marketplace space of leadership, wherever you are, that it will help you be the person that God has raised you up to be. And we can empower you to be even more influential where you are. This is Point Serve. My name's Vondi, and I'm so glad that you are a part of this today. Have a great day.